Here we go. This is it. Episode 476. I need to pause because I mess up 4s and 7s. 476, No Laugh Track Podcast. My name is Justin Severson, the host here each and every week. And I think I mentioned a couple weeks ago that we're going to have a run of first-timers here, and this is one of them, a virgin. No.
Yes, be gentle.
Yeah. Let's talk about your virginity here.
Yeah.
Fahim Anwar is here. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
So is virgin accurate?
It is, yes, in all senses of the word. Just podcast, sex, still looking forward to doing that sometime. I've heard great things. We'll see.
Side note, I had Paramount Plus app on the TV going last
this
night.
guy, you got a lot of money, huh? You're getting
Not
all
to
the...
brag, but I did get some sort of promo code to get it free for 6 months
That
or a
makes
year or
sense.
whatever.
That makes
So
sense.
we were watching, I don't remember what, but then it was over, and Love Boat, the new Love Boat was being advertised. Did
Everyone's
you know that?
clamoring for that.
Did you know that that's a thing?
Yeah, people barely know the original was a thing. Like, who's this? I guess that is on brand for like Paramount Plus. Like, you guys wanted it. Hey,
Yeah.
CBS people, you wanted the reboot. Here it is.
It's a dating show.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's weird.
No, yeah, I know.
What if Tattoo is still part of it though? he's the host.
It's not. I thought it would be, like the one from the 80s or whatever. What's all the and here's Charo, like the
Yeah.
like they bring in these celebrities to mingle with. But no, it's a dating show hosted by Jerry O'Connell and Rebecca Stamos, Romaine
Interesting.
Stamos. Yeah, and the only reason I just thought of this is because one of the daters on the show, I watched 6 minutes of it before I turned it off last night.
Sure.
Was a 20-some-year-old virgin, so of course,
They're like, let's serve him up here.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a weird. Why? That seems like a waste of IP. You know what I mean? Like the Love Boat, you can reboot that. I know I'm joking about it, but I feel like I would want to see a scripted reboot of that rather than like here's a dating show version of it.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Is that the new thing? We're just gonna make like dating show versions of old shows. Like it's the dating version of MASH.
It's the dating version of Jeopardy.
Yeah.
3 contestants, 1 host. You get to date the host.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I don't know.
Very bizarre.
Very bizarre. So I need to know, what is your history here? I know you've done one show this week at
This is
Acme,
true,
but what is your
yeah.
history here in Minnesota at all?
Oh.
Have you performed in Minnesota before?
So maybe like a year and some change ago, I was in House Comedy in that Mall of America.
Familiar with that?
I love House Comedy. They're great. I've done their other rooms and stuff. I didn't know that it's like in the Mall of America. So that was interesting where I'm like, I'm on Google Maps to like get to the gig and I'm passing roller coasters and shit.
Yeah.
Like, I just mentally wasn't prepared for that route to the comedy club. And it was great, it was a fun weekend and stuff.
3 or 4 floors up from the stingrays and sharks. So, yeah.
Oh, the aquarium is there
the
too?
aquarium, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I guess that is the silver lining, like part of you is like, it's in a mall, but hey, you're close to a Lids, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. It's north of a Victoria's Secret and also south of a Victoria's Secret.
Yeah, that's how people give you directions. They go, you're just going to want to hit a left at the Lids and then Victoria's Secret go up. So it was a fun weekend and everything, but then my feature, who's featuring this weekend too, Mo, he was like, you got to check out Acme just to check it out. And then I had always heard about Acme from other comedians, like certain clubs get bounced around the scene and they're just notorious for being great clubs.
Yeah.
This is always up there. I'd always hear Acme. I would always hear Comedy on State.
Yeah.
I've performed there. It's great. Comedy Works in Denver. It's another one, and that was great too. I've done there. But this is just one that I had never crossed paths with. And then I was like, let's do it. Like I'm grateful to the House of Comedy people. I still do their rooms and stuff. But when you're in Minneapolis, like this is one that you want to do. So when I came around again, I'm like, let's do Acme. And the owner was so cool just because like not everybody gets to play here, Like he's very discerning, which is kind of cool,
It's very true.
I still like that like, okay, it's like you got picked and...
I know it very well hosting this podcast. I mean, that's my schedule of guests. Who gets booked here. There's a lot of annual, they get their week every year, and then every now and then a couple new ones like you get in.
Yeah. So
hopefully get to come back the year after, right?
Yes. So I'm glad I got to do it. I'm glad that I, branding wise, I'm a guy that fits with whatever this club is too.
Yeah.
And then after doing last night is just like, I get it. You would hear the stories and then, I was telling Mo on the way out, I go, because he was like, what did you think? What do you think of the crowd in the club? I go, if you could create an audience in a lab, like the perfect comedy audience, like this is kind of it. Like
After one night you got that.
Yeah, I mean,
Nice.
it was a Thursday.
Yeah.
Like, if that's what it was on a Thursday, I can't wait for tonight and tomorrow.
Oh,
just
you're
really
don't stop.
receptive.
No, let me stop you right there. Do not get your hopes up.
Don't get my hopes. It's worse. Yeah, you're like, Minneapolis is notorious for being just a hot Thursday crowd.
He didn't
Every
tell you
other
they peak
night.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. No, it's just tourists on the weekend that don't
Yeah.
like comedy. You're fucked, man.
We'll see. Hey, well, I'm glad that it was what it was on Thursday at least.
Yeah, peak early.
Yeah.
Early. No, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Absolutely. This is a man that I'm talking to here that I did some of my vast research. I saw that in a New York Times review of your latest special.
Oh, dang.
Yes. Described you as one of the finest physical comedians working in clubs today.
Whoa.
True or false?
I mean, come on. I can't say that about myself. That's for the New York Times to say. Like, who am I to say I'm the greatest physical comedian of my generation? That's not. That's Jason Zinnemann at the New York Times. Like, that's not.
Very well respected.
That's not my place to say.
The man's never made a mistake, so I
Yeah,
mean, you take
yeah.
it for what it's worth.
Until he does a bad review of my thing, then it's like, oh, that quack, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Cancel him.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. I stumbled over a New York Times article. They did a thing about some of the best specials from veteran comics.
Bro,
You're
I mean,
described as a veteran
I
comic.
am.
I mean, you are.
It's weird. I'm like an up and coming like, I've been doing it for so fucking long, but it's just like the awareness is finally like hitting around now.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. I think one comment, because I'm doing a lot more clips now on Instagram, and
Yeah.
because before this like social media revolution with YouTube and all that, comedians were more protective of their material and
Hell
kind
yeah.
of waiting for like Mr. Hollywood to be like, okay, now you can show the world your material.
Yeah.
But just things are exploding in a different way. Now we're realizing like, it's almost like the mixtape route. Just get it out there. Have
Yeah.
people decide. So I've been doing more of that, and I think that's why people are becoming more aware, because I'm not sheltering this material that I never got the shot to, like, because Netflix is very picky, HBO Max is very picky, but like Instagram is in everyone's pocket, YouTube everyone accesses, so people are able to see my stuff. And one of the comments on Instagram was like, whoa, dude, like you have the stage presence of like a 20-year vet. And I go, that's because I am. I just wrote under the comment, he's go, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are so accurately perceptive. Thank you.
Yes, yeah. So, I mean, that was a funny thing.
That's fantastic. Yes, you did the last one. You threw it on YouTube.
Yeah, so that was cool about that article, too, the New York Times thing, because all the specials reviewed were all like Netflix or HBO, and mine was a YouTube special that was thrown in the mix. So, and I did it on my own. I directed it. I was doing sound in the back before I hit the stage. It was very much one-man band. I had some help, obviously.
Yeah.
But it was one of those projects where instead of waiting for the powers that be to, like, tell you to do the thing you know you can do, the internet exists. Consumer-grade equipment is so advanced nowadays. Like, you're enough. Like, you can do it on your own if you have the vision and know-how. And it's cool that, like, this thing where I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do a YouTube special, that it was received in a way where someone from the New York Times is looking at it and reviewing it and saying those nice things. It's validating.
Yeah, seriously. Like, it wasn't a big Netflix debut. It was YouTube.
Yeah.
Things have changed.
Well, so many great specials are coming out on YouTube nowadays. I think beforehand people would kind of like, oh, it's YouTube. There was this like perception of it, but the amount of great specials, like, Norman and List and
some of my
and all,
favorites.
all these guys are like, that's the route. I think it just shows you how much great comedy and comedians are out there. Like, great stand-up comedians and casting they're like two different things. And I think a lot of times with, like, say Comedy Central back in the day or Netflix or these like streamers, is like they would look for stand-up comedians and then like demo and packaging. It was like you're like casting. It's like you're Lou Pearlman and you're making In Sync or something.
The boy band.
Yeah, you're not getting the best singers. Like JT's great, whatever you want, but like, okay, I've got like the bad boy, I've got the such and such. There's a lot of that going on with like traditional stand-up, and the slew of great stand-up specials that are coming out. You go, oh, these are just great stand-up comedians. Like screw their identity or whatever. Like, they're not playing that game. They're just like funny for funny. That was lost in the Hollywood marketplace, I think. And I think just the amount of great YouTube specials that are coming out, you're realizing like, oh, just great stand-up is a different thing than the castable streamer special.
I had a friend just I hadn't talked to in months send me a text about a week or so ago, and he just said, "Hey, I need a new round of comedy specials to watch. What can you recommend?" And I think I sent him 2 off the top of my head, both YouTube specials.
Yeah, and that's the other great thing too. Is just it's so shareable, especially when you're trying to break in to the consciousness of like people discovering you. Like it's like discovering a band, and like how cool is it? You could just shoot a friend a hyperlink, a YouTube link. It's frictionless. You know what I mean? Whereas if I was on, I'm trying to think, like Paramount Plus or HBO Max, so they have to have the service. They have to remember your name.
Yeah.
Just there's nothing more powerful than just sending someone a TikTok or an IG reel or a YouTube link. So that's a great benefit when you're trying to go from unknown to known.
I've had the thing recently where people are like, "Are you watching the Game of Thrones?"
Oh yeah, I'm
show
watching
was
that.
now?" Yeah, and I'm like, I don't have I'm in that I don't have HBO group right now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a
You're
it's
like,
just
I have
such a
Paramount
conversation
Plus.
ender. Like,
I'm watching The Love Boat right now. I'm sorry, man. I don't have time for this.
When the reruns get on Paramount Plus, I'll be all over it.
Yeah, when Game of Thrones is a dating show reboot on Paramount Plus, I'll get back to you.
I drink, therefore I know, or whatever that saying was. I just remembered that friend that asked me about the stand-up recommendations. He also, at one point, same deal. I was trying to. There was some new band that I liked, and I thought he would like him. I sent him. You were like, how easy links are.
Yes.
Sent him a link, and like 2 days later, he writes back, "Nah, not for me."
Yeah. Wait, did you ask him what did you think, or did he just say?
I followed up.
That's on you a little bit then, maybe.
I guess.
Right?
I
Because he was
guess.
trying to ghost you on the I didn't like it.
Right.
But you were like, hey, did you like it?
I need to know. I need your validation.
Yeah.
You don't. What do you mean you don't?
Man,
I hate everything you like too. Then.
I always think it's funny when people say, man, I hate getting ghosted, or getting ghosted is the worst. But I think it's the best device in the world. Just if you're an astute person, you'll figure out the person's not into you.
Yeah.
It's the kindest way. Like, what's the alternative? I don't like you. We didn't hit it off.
Yeah.
Like, that's way more of a knife turn.
Mm-hmm.
Ghosting is the nicest thing anybody can do for you.
Yeah, I got confronted with one of those. I've been married. I'm in my second marriage, sir.
Oh, okay, all
I was
right.
married once, and then I dated a little bit in between. And, one of those girls, I remember that distinctly, where I was the one trying to do the ghosting.
The ghosting.
And she kept asking, like, you don't want this answer.
Yeah, you don't want to.
You don't want this answer. I'm helping you. You don't want this
Totally.
answer.
Yeah, I
And then
want to get ghosted. I want to use ghosting as a device. Don't take it away.
Thank God it exists.
Yeah, it's a great invention.
For all the bad things our phones are, right?
Yes, yeah.
One of the positives.
Just suddenly when you're not into somebody, that's when you stop using your phone and you've been slammed.
Exactly. So I pulled up your WTF episode.
Oh, okay.
And was listening to that from 2018. You've
Mark.
done all the big podcasts.
Done all of them,
I mean,
man.
most people usually kind of start with no laugh track, and then you
and then they build. I go reverse.
Yeah, then you do like the Burt cast.
I've been telling my people because they're like, "Hey, do you want to do Joe again?" I go, "Get me! No, I gotta get out to Minneapolis."
Get me on that Acme podcast that doesn't have a lot of listeners. Forget Joe Rogan. I don't need to do that again. Yeah, absolutely. So I listened to your WTF, and I have a couple follow-up questions about what I heard.
Oh man! Well, you know what's cool about the WTF is like, I think I was able to do it when my first special came out on CISO, if you can remember.
You buried CISO?
I'm a streamer killer, dude. I buried CISO. I buried Quibi.
Did you have something on there too?
Bill Burr had this sketch show for Quibi, so I'm in one of the sketches on the Quibi sketch show, and then it's just funny that like I've done things for media giants that are no more.
Yeah.
But everyone knew these were gonna fold. Like CISO, come on, that was like Peacock 1.0, right?
Yeah.
So there, and then Quibi. Who thought Quibi was? I think everyone knew, even the talent who got deals at Quibi. It was just an ATM machine. Everyone's like, yeah, we'll make a show, because they were just giving out money. But who's watching premium content?
I remember hearing rumors about it, and like Sean Patton, I think, was here and did a show, and like I think off the mic he was like, I don't think anybody's ever going to see this.
Yes.
Like, let's not even.
Totally.
We shouldn't even talk about it.
It was just a money grab for A-list celebrities. Anna Kendrick's like, yeah, I'll do a 10-minute series, and they're just handing out so much money, and just no one wanted to tell these DreamWorks people or whoever. I forgot who it was that like it's a bad idea.
Yeah. You were saying WTF.
Oh,
Doing
yeah. So when I was promoting the CISO special, I was doing the rounds, and I got to do WTF, and like I knew Mark a little bit, but I didn't know him as well as I know him now.
Oh, cool.
So we're friends now. We're much because we see each other at the Comedy Store, and like he's been very gracious and nice. Like he's had me do his Largo show, and Largo is one of those stages in LA that I never got to do. And
Okay.
And so he's been great. And he even gave me, like, for this new YouTube special, he was like, he told his listeners to go check it out. And so he's been a great advocate.
Awesome.
And it's just interesting to look back, be like, oh, okay, I the one that I did with him was like before we kind of had this a little more solid relationship.
Would you ever go back and listen to it now? Just to
see
really
what it was
get the
like?
taste of how that relationship was?
I think we vibed pretty well from what I remember, even though I didn't know him as well as I know him now.
Sure.
And as a younger comic, or just, Mark's a few generations above, you have this perception of Mark is one of those discerning guys too. You don't know, like, will he reject you like a virus or will he accept you? You don't know how you're going to gel with someone like Mark.
Sure.
But I remember coming away from that podcast thinking, like, oh, that was pretty pleasant. Our chemistry is pretty good.
That's super
And that was
cool.
one thing I was afraid of, just like, oh, I wonder if he'll hate me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because we've all heard those stories. So one of the things you said on there is you talked about you did shrooms before you ever did weed.
Oh, yeah.
And that just, what is it? I think you said 3 weeks prior to that. This was 2018 was the first time you smoked pot? In
Oh, yeah,
2018?
yeah.
That's
Pretty late in the game.
pretty late in the game. So now we're 4 years later.
Uh-huh.
Did it stick?
Pot?
Yeah.
No. I'm
No?
just not good on these things. I think I'm just wound too tight, or I like control. One thing that I've learned about myself is I like control, or what little I do have. And shrooms, to a much larger degree, is a complete, like, exploding that thought. You know what I mean? So it's like you're trying to have control and you can't. And trying to reconcile the two, like not letting go, it's a recipe for disaster on shrooms. So it wasn't fun.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's like a thought, I'm not familiar with this thought pattern. I'm trying to think the way that I can without shrooms, and that's just like a bad place to be.
Yeah.
Whereas I think people who are good on shrooms are just like, they're like skiing downhill or something. They're just enjoying it.
It's the way life's supposed to be.
Yeah. Where I was like fighting it just because it was so foreign to me.
Yeah.
And then, but the second half of the trip was actually very enjoyable. Like I was laughing a lot. Things were very funny. And then weed, I feel like, is a smaller version of that. So even if I'm going down that dark hole or whatever, weed isn't as powerful enough where I can't get out of it. And
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
You're from Washington, where it's fully legal now.
Yes.
And you live in
Isn't it here too?
No.
It's
And you live
not?
in California, where it's fully legal.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, here, no.
Before you had to say you had back pain and shit, but you don't need that anymore.
Oh, yeah. I remember when somebody first showed me one of their cards from California like 5-6 years ago. I was like, this what? Tell me everything about this.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
So you can smoke it here though, right?
It's like a what? Misdemeanor. It's like small amounts are decriminalized.
Is it like the way LA was before it is now, kind of?
Still more strict. Still more
Interesting.
strict. They just recently legalized the smallest amount edibles, 5 milligram. They cannot sell legally anything more than that, and the container itself cannot have more than 50 milligrams. So it's very limited. And any if you want to smoke, they don't. There's no. I couldn't go to a store right now and buy some anywhere in the States.
I see.
You still have to call,
A guy.
A guy, yeah.
So all the shady guys just like flocked to Minneapolis. They're like, yes. We still have a scene down
They're
here.
still in business. Yeah, it still thrives here. I know. Isn't that weird? And they would go. I mean, I suppose there's still an underground scene in California, right? Or no?
Maybe for the purists. Maybe if
purists.
You're like a guy who. It's almost like if you're a creep and you still insist on going to a porno shop and going through a beaded curtain. You go, I just need the rush. I need this before I smoke my weed. I can't go into a Mac store and get my weed.
Oh God, that's funny.
Yeah, I just need that dirty. I need to look over my shoulder before I smoke weed.
Right.
Just to aid in the paranoia.
Yeah.
Let me just look, scan everywhere. It's the ritual of getting the weed. You don't want people patting you on the back when you roll up.
No, I don't want there to be a paper trail.
Yeah.
No.
But it's better here than I spent some time in Texas. I was in Austin, and it's way more restricted than it is here. They have stuff called Delta H. I remember after a show in Austin, this girl was like, "Do you want some Delta H?" That was the first time I heard about it. I'm like, "What?" First of all, I'm not a guy who's going to accept drugs after a show, even if it's shrooms or weed. but now you're calling it Delta H like I'm in the Fifth Element. Like,
Yeah, right.
I don't want some compound.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Where's the periodic table so I can figure out what this is?
Delta 8, it just sounds scary.
It does.
They go, yeah, weed's not legal here, but this is like a synthetic weed. I go,
Yeah.
I'm good.
You guys
Thank
heard
you,
of
though.
bath salts? You want some?
Yeah.
Exactly.
At least weed is from nature. She's like, I cooked this up in a petri dish.
So the other thing I want to bring up that you said on that is you said something to the effect of, I would rather have no one know me than have people know me and have a bad impression.
Yeah.
Do you still feel that way?
Yeah, because I think first impressions are so powerful, and it's hard to shatter people's perception of you once they've made it. It's possible, but it's infinitely harder than the first time.
Yeah.
Fresh eyes is completely different than I've already decided I don't like this guy, and then 3 years or 4 years later to try to get that person to shift that. People are set in their ways.
Is there a thing in your head where you remember like, oh, I fucking blew it. I had a chance and I blew it.
I don't beat myself up like that. There are moments, like everyone will have those, and like you can learn from them. But I try not to dwell. I try not to dwell on things that you have no control over.
Oh, good.
You know, yeah, you can like take the lesson from it and apply it to your life moving forward. But I don't just like zero in on that thing in the past. Yeah, but I think that quote just kind of, it's more in terms of, say, at the Comedy Store, I wait for things to organically happen. Like the relationship with Marc organically happened. It started with the podcast, and then after the pandemic, he started hanging out at the store more instead of just like doing his spots and bouncing. It was kind of more of the scene. And then he would catch sets. And then now I have that relationship with Marc in a very organic way, which is like the most beautiful way that I want it and how I like things to be.
So cool.
Whereas if I was, hey Marc, what you know, just going up to him and just bugging him and trying to kickstart that relationship in an inauthentic way, there's a good chance I would just be a pest in his mind. And I would never get to have the relationship that I have with him now.
Yeah. Who's this guy? He's
yes,
Go
exactly.
Away.
Even if even if I am the same person that I am,
right.
just that is such a bad taste that it's going to be hard to shift someone's thinking regarding that. Yeah.
I just remembered there was one more thing I want to bring up about that, and that is that you were telling him sort of your start. You were talking about your family and everything.
Yeah.
You said your dad once. Did you ever get to the bottom of it? Did he live in Minneapolis? Did he live in Minnesota or North Dakota? Because throughout this
both
throughout the podcast,
I didn't know.
You didn't know. It's 4 years later. Now you know it was Minnesota. Engineering school.
Yes.
I mean, I'm putting things together. I bet it was University of Minnesota.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
There you go. So he lived here. Are you?
I took a picture of the bridge that has the, you know, I don't know anything about this town. I was driving around. There's a bridge with the college logo on it.
Yeah.
So, you know, I did a video of that and I sent it to my dad and I go, you know.
Did he remember it?
Yeah. He said, go to Dinkytown.
Yeah.
Do you know, what is Dinkytown?
It's just the little dinky.
Sure.
The small neighborhood in the campus area.
Is it worth checking out? Are you saying my dad gave me a lame suggestion?
Well,
you want your tongue here. Proceed with caution.
I think whatever your dad suggested.
You look into the camera and say, Muhammad Anwar, I'm so sorry.
Muhammad, it is a brilliant idea, and if he doesn't, you should disown him.
Oh, well, you took it a little too far, all right? You yes-anded a little too aggressively.
Well, I'm on your dad's side.
Okay, all right.
I have been from the beginning. So, yeah, I have a feeling that if you went there and sent him a video of that, most of it would be unrecognizable.
Oh, okay.
Because they've, torn down a lot of the old historic buildings and built a, Chipotle or something.
That's pretty cool.
So
it's called Chipotle City. You could go into 12 different buildings that are all variations of Chipotle.
Yeah, Herberts and
That'd
Gerberts.
be a great just hemorrhaging of money, just a capitalistic. It makes no sense, but it's just like a fuck you to underserved communities. Just Chipotle City.
Yes.
You know my girlfriend? So I did a gig in Detroit. So I did House of Comedy out there. And then we just did like a road trip through North Michigan and then Wisconsin, the scenic route and all that. And just in these rural areas, part of me was thinking it'd be so funny just to open up a Lids out there. Like Tilly's. Just I open up a Tilly's in like rural Wisconsin. And I just hemorrhage money and I don't understand why it's not doing well. And then it would also be weird for like the one car that passes through every 4 hours. Like, is there a fucking Tilly's? out here.
And then someone next door opens up a shop that just says American flags, sells American flags in the middle of Wisconsin, and
That
they
would
put you
crush
out
my
of business.
business.
Yeah.
We were behind this truck that had an American flag. It was an eagle with its like a bald eagle with its wings spread, and it had American flag motif. And I was just sort of like, that's such a cliche. You know, it's bizarre. Like if I loved America, I don't know if I'd put like an American flag eagle on. I'd be like, I love America, but that's a little. Everyone's expecting that. It was just so strange. The pickup truck with the bald eagle, American flag wings. You're like a Sims character.
I'm surprised that was it. I'm surprised the guy stopped there.
Yeah, like there wasn't bombs coming from the eagle's wings.
Mm-hmm. Like he's like this. He's kind of like two talons up, flipping off everybody.
Yeah, it's like anatomically not even correct. Like how does that eagle have? He's a bird flipping two birds.
Hats on backwards. Why is he wearing a hat?
It's like two birds, one country.
I saw that you. I think I saw the big Miami Dolphins controversy, the ping pong table yesterday.
Yeah, so we just stopped for lunch, and they had Jalen and Jacoby right on the sports TV there, and then I'm seeing this Miami Dolphins crawl at the bottom, and it was just so absurd. So I think the gist of it was like the team captains on the Miami Dolphins took away the ping pong table in the locker room so they could focus on the game.
Yeah.
And I love that that's a big enough news for the bottom crawl, and then also that's a strategy. Like, guys, we gotta win this game. I'm taking the ping pong table. Like, that's gonna be the difference maker.
Oh, did you hear the comments from the coach?
No.
Oh yeah,
this is a bigger story.
They brought it to the coach, and he had like a minute long, prepared.
You guys want to play ping pong? You guys are fucking playing ping pong.
He was so like, this just shows the leadership of our captains and that they care about the team and blah, 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 blah. Like, leaned right into it, how great of an idea this is, and this is why we have the guys, and we're a strong team, and this and that. Then later on yesterday, or I think this morning, then they go to Tyreek Hill, the wide receiver for the Dolphins, and he's like, yeah, no, that's not. It was scratched and damaged, and we want to get a new one with a Miami Dolphins logo on it.
He just blew up the whole news story?
Yes. So we don't really know the true story, I guess is what I'm saying.
This is the new Deflategate.
Yeah, exactly. Who to believe?
Ping pong gate. Are they really serious about winning, or do they just want to? They go, we're getting an air hockey table.
Well, it matters here because our Vikings play Miami this weekend. So.
Ooh. Are you gonna win? What do you think?
Well, let's see. They're starting a third string quarterback, so probably the Vikings will lose because it's seems like a guaranteed win. So they'll probably lose.
Damn it.
They'll probably lose. Are you a sports fan at all?
A little bit, like I'll follow the Seahawks because that's one game a week. I can handle that.
Sure.
I like the volume of games, and for NFL, it's easy to follow.
Yeah.
Baseball, so many games, but now it's postseason and the Mariners are in.
I was gonna say the Mariners
so that's pretty great. Like I'll follow in the postseason for most sports.
Yeah, that's way more fun in the postseason. I saw that you have done some acting.
A little bit.
Little movies, TV shows.
Paramount, if you fire up Paramount Plus, I might be on there. We'll see.
Yeah, how many Paramount Plus?
I'm trying to think. What would I? There's some CBS things. I did like a guest star a while ago on Superior Donuts. That was a CBS thing.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote on the United States of Al show, and then I was in one episode of that this past year. I have a robust IMDb.
Nice.
Yeah. It's weird, though. I think I got more acting stuff earlier, and then now a little less. It's weird. Like, stand-up success kind of got to me later. It's weird, because normally people will get pretty big at stand-up and then do more acting stuff, but I got more acting stuff early.
Totally.
And then the stand-up stuff's taking over now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm more picky, just because you have leverage when you are a veteran stand-up comedian, because you can make money. Like, this is enough. And then you can be a little picky with your acting stuff and the things you want to do.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're in your early 20s, you want anything.
Hell yeah.
So if, like, NCIS want to, you just like, yeah, anything. Okay, you need me to be this? Sure.
Is there one that stands out, like, where, it was such a small role, but I did it?
What was it? Yo, I remember. So I'm in Californication for one episode.
Oh, wow.
So, I have a scene with David Duchovny, maybe two scenes with him, but they're very small. I'm playing Young Hollywood douchebag number 2. I wasn't good enough to be number 1. Guess who's
who's
number
one?
Adam Paley.
Is that right?
Not bad.
Nice.
So yeah, they put me in a beanie. I had a scarf, and then
Did they put that in the memo of your paycheck?
what, young Hollywood douche? That'd be funny. So I just have to get emotionally crushed every time I cash a 3-cent check for it's not even worth it for the emotional damage.
Right.
Young Hollywood douchebag.
2.
So, yeah, number 2. So I think I go up to David Duchovny and I want a photo or something, and then he like kind of makes fun of me in front of this hot chick, and then later on he's in bed with like one of the hot chicks. I think they both reach into his pants.
Oh.
Like they're in bed and they reach down his pants.
And then you're down there?
Yeah, me and the other douchebag are there for some reason. Maybe they're on a couch. It's been a long time. I haven't seen it. So he takes a picture, and then he shows it to me, and I go, yeah, send me that. And then that's the last that I did of that. Yeah. So I think we were used as a plot device for maybe that picture or that situation getting out.
Sure.
But yeah, so that was a long time ago. That's probably the smallest thing that I've done.
Is there anything that you've done that isn't out yet
I'm trying to think.
that you can talk about? Anything recent?
No, just some development stuff. So
Okay.
like, I became friends with this guy in the writer's room for that CBS show, and then I wrote a pilot with him, and we're going to try to take that out. And
Sure.
that's another space that I'm trying to get into now. So I've done writing, I've acted in some stuff, I do stand-up, but it'd be like I want to sell shows now or movies. Like that's a new area I'd like to explore.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Did you bring merch? Do you have merch on this?
Everyone asks me like, yeah, I gotta work on it. So
Nothing
yeah.
right now?
I have ideas cooking. Maybe the next time because I'm popping out twice a month. I'm going to go back to LA after this weekend, and hopefully my downtime there, I'll have something to take on the rest of my tour. But yeah, I want to be able to have something that people can take away from the show, because they even want it. Some of the fans are like, do you have anything? Or I would love to support. It's cool to talk to people afterwards and take pictures, but it'd be nice to have some merch for them too.
May I suggest one for you?
Please. It says Young Hollywood Douchebag number 2.
Yes, on a T-shirt.
No, it just says the Hollywood Douchebag number 2. And I'm like, I had to grow up. Douchebags grow too.
Those shirts, like it says with, and then it's an arrow pointing to you.
Yeah.
People stand next to you. No, what the heck was
Yeah,
I
what's
gonna
the
say?
merch?
Oh, posters. That's what I suggest.
Really?
For me, this is completely selfish. I like collecting posters. Of like you walk by after the show, I give you whatever, $10-$20 for a poster, you sign it, and I get to bring it home and put it on my wall. That's what I like.
What would it
and specific to the even better is if it's specific to the city. You don't have to print, 500 of them.
Yeah.
Do 100, do 50.
pretty easy to transport too.
Mhm.
That's another thing when you
can
think
do 'em
about
in town and have them just pick them
holy
up down the road.
shit.
I'm telling you.
I almost feel like your follow-up statement to this is I own a printing company.
So anyway, I already printed some up for you, and if we'll just split.
I mocked up some designs. This just turns into a pitch meeting. You're like Don Draper.
So I'll tell you what, we'll split it 60-40, 60-40.
Already, this is a boilerplate contract. You just like skim over it. We don't need to get the lawyers involved. Just initial here, sign here.
When you agreed to do the podcast, you agreed to go into business with me.
Yeah.
So you're definitely the good news. The good news is you definitely get a week here next year because.
that's part of it.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
All right, it's worth it then.
Well, it depends on how many we ship out of here, but all right. I don't know. I think we took up the half hour. I don't want to push this too long. Is there something else we should be mentioning? Are you doing a podcast anymore these days? I know you had one.
I had one, but then the writing job was kind of a time suck, so I wasn't able to do it as much. I need to get back into it. I have an idea. I have like an idea for 2 of them, so I'll fill that somehow. I think that's a part of every comic's business arm now and just arsenal nowadays too. It's like we all got to be doing clips. We all got to be doing a YouTube thing. Podcast is such a big part of. Podcast is the new wacky neighbor in a sitcom. You know what I mean? Or like, because back in the 90s and stuff and early 2000s, as a stand-up, you would want to be on a sitcom because that was a way to get people to come to shows.
Sure.
That's where people's eyeballs were. But if you get on a sitcom nowadays, it doesn't help ticket sales, really. No one really watches sitcoms anymore. It's more powerful to have a podcast and to do the podcast rounds. So it's a thing that you definitely have. It's a plant you have to water.
Sure.
So yeah.
I think I got one more thing here. I know I saw you were doing really well putting the clips out. Do you do that yourself? Do you do all the editing and everything?
Yeah, like that's another thing too. Is just like this new world we're in with social media and algorithms and all that. Comics have to be entrepreneurs, and we have to take so much more ownership of our careers. Whereas back in the day, You would just do stand-up. Maybe you would do acting class or whatever, and you would just trust that your agents and managers were doing the rest to plug you in. Now, okay, you have to film your sets. You have to make sure the audio's good. You have to edit it in a certain way for TikTok and IG Reels. Because if I do a joke tonight, in real time, an audience enjoying that joke has a different attention span than like TikTok or IG Reels. So you have to do like kind of a speedier, snappier, edited version of that. And then it has to be vertical. And then you have to throw captions on it. And then you have to change the colors of some of the words. Just people watching on their phones are just like, you have to ADDify it. Like everyone's a toddler when they look at videos on their phones.
Yeah.
Like something's got to be, because you just don't want them to swipe their thumb away. So you're doing all these tricks like punch-ins, and it's hard to reconcile that because as a stand-up purist and shit, you want people to be able to enjoy a stand-up clip in real time. But that's just not the world we live in. So you have to find the compromise where I'm not completely whoring myself out, where it's like, wah, woo, wah, woo, and there's like bells going off and shit. So I'm trying to find the happy medium of, okay, what is the TikTok version of me? What is the IG Reels version of me that still feels like me, but is still playing into that format?
Yeah. Do people bring anything up to you, like when they talk to you after the shows or anything? Like, I saw your blah clip.
I'm trying to. That's the beauty of doing the road now and on this tour is I have more fans. Because last time I toured was maybe a year before the pandemic. And so time has progressed. I've progressed as an artist and just like leveled up a bit in terms of just like people's awareness.
Sure. And we spent a lot more time staring at our phones.
Yes,
in the last couple
there's
years.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of cool to have more fans at shows because I think prior you would get a few, but most people are just on date night and they don't know who you are.
Sure.
And they might like it, but they're not coming out specifically for you. But now I have people specifically coming out for me, which is a great feeling and very cool, and I'm grateful. But part of it is I want to know, well, what is their entry point into me?
Right.
So I'm doing data collection a little bit where I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Like what did you see? I'm just curious. Some people it's Reels. Some people it's TikTok. Some people it's YouTube Shorts. Some people it's the podcast rounds that I did.
Yeah.
But what's really cool is I started doing this series on my YouTube channel because I do this show once a month at the Comedy Store in the Belly Room.
New material.
It's called Fahim Works on Stuff.
Yeah.
Fahim works on stuff and his friends drop by. So I always write. I'm writing a lot. I just think a lot. And it's a nice little show that I developed where I MC it, but in between acts, I just kind of diarrhea all these bits for the first time. And sometimes there's some great gold in there, but it's very raw and loose and fun. And I'm able to, usually I'll get like 30 fun minutes or whatever, and I'll chop it up into a series, and I just release one a week.
Yeah, great stuff.
Thanks, man.
I'm glad you brought that up. I meant to compliment you on it. That's great stuff.
Yeah, it was just sort of one of those organic things. It wasn't by design. It was just a thing that kind of happened. And people after shows are saying, oh, I discovered you from that, or I really love your Works on Stuff series. And that feels good because that's just me like fucking around and working on material, and it's not like a polished special or anything. So if that's people's entry point into me and they still enjoy it, that's really cool.
Yeah, that's super cool. So finally, get out here and see a show this weekend at Acme.
Yeah. Check it out.
Yep. Shows throughout the weekend, and follow you on all the social media. Be one of the tens or hundreds of thousands that already follow you on social media.
Yeah. So Fahim Anwar on IG, Fahim Anwar Comedy on TikTok, Fahim Anwar on Twitter, website fahimanwar.com. And then my YouTube. So I'm really
Fahim Anwar 2 on OnlyFans.
yeah, that's for, my top tier subscribers. There's different levels to support me, like $5 will be a cameo, $10 it's just an exclusive podcast. And then top tier is I do solos. I do solos and I do birthday shout outs for like an extra, you could tip a little more and I'll be like, hey, happy birthday, Melissa. Congrats on graduating grad school. That's a feat. Did I invent a new business? It's like OnlyFans meets Cameo.
This is from your grandmother.
This is from your. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you got sick. They've made great strides in medicine. Your friends love you. You'll get through. I'm praying for you.
From Nana.
From Nana. She's a great lady. Thanks for being a fan. I think I invented a new business. Cameo meets OnlyFans.
I love it.
It's called Only Cameo.
This can't be topped. We ended here. Thanks, man.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
That was fucking awesome.